Are you sick of taking basic senior portraits and want to start doing creative photography? Do you want to work with professionally signed models but don't know where to start? Do you want to learn everything about crafting the perfect pitch email to the financial aspect of test shoots? What even is a test shoot? What about call sheets, contracts, and mood boards? If you're curious about the answers to any of those questions, just keep on watching. Hey guys, my name is Melinda. Welcome back to my channel. So I've been a part-time photographer for about 3 years now. I'm 19 years old. Since February 2020, I've been doing test shoots for modeling agencies such as Ford Robert Black, Agency Arizona, Meraki Model Management, Willow Models, LA Models, and that's just to name a few. I've also done some test shoots with unsigned models from my college's fashion club, but due to the pandemic, I've slowed down on frequently shooting as much, but I've consistently shot around 20 to 25 models since the pandemic started. I typed out a bunch of notes that I'm going to be referencing throughout the video, just so you know why I'm looking down at my computer. So this video is going to be split into a couple parts, and feel free to skip around if you only want to hear about a certain part. I'll leave the timestamps in the description box below as well. First, I'm going to start off with talking about building your portfolio, and then I'll go into the financial aspect of test shoots, all the pros and cons of that, emails and DMs, who do you email, what do you put in your email, how should you even present yourself. I'll also go into detail about how to put a team of people together for any of these photo shoots, whether it be a hairstylist, makeup artist, another model, etc. Also talk about call sheets, contracts, and answer some questions from Instagram that you guys asked me on my photography account. So let's start off with building your portfolio. First off, what are agencies looking for and what do they want to see in a photographer's portfolio? From my personal experience and from observing other photographers who get hired by the agency, they really value consistency and versatility. And by that, I just mean a photographer who can take images that will broaden the model's current portfolio as well as make their model stand out. Just like clients for any other photography service, they want a photographer who is reliable enough to capture the model's best poses, angles, and expressions. I'll get a little more into this a bit later in the video, but if, for example, you wanted to specialize in beauty photography, they want a photographer who can make sure the features are in focus all the time and someone who knows how to properly retouch skin. A bit unrelated, but they also like to see wardrobe, hair, makeup people on board for your shoots just so they know their model is well taken care of. If the model ends up being recruited for a job, they'll want a similar environment to what they've been practicing with. So a whole team of people, creative directors, whoever's on set. You don't always have to have one, but it's always nice to have. Something I was curious about before I even started shooting for agencies was the type of editing style they were looking for. And from my experience, I found that it really depends how strict the model's agent is. So for example, I was talking to one model and we already had a mood board set up and a whole concept for our shoot, and I was just DMing her on Instagram. And she told me to email her agent, and her agent replied saying that my work wasn't consistent with whatever the model already had in her current portfolio. So unfortunately we weren't able to shoot together, but I've never had any other issues with any other shoot that I've done. I personally recommend having a portfolio with accurate skin tones because that is something I would personally look for in a photographer. So moving on to the subjects of your shoot, so who or what to shoot. So firstly, figure out what kind of photos you want to get out of these test shoots. There are so many different types and categories of photos that you can specialize in. So there's fashion and editorial, beauty, e-commerce, fitness, studio, mature, older age models, runway, etc. And you can find a whole list of these just by a quick Google search. You definitely don't have to stick to just one of those categories. In fact, it's best if you went out and practiced with different models, shooting environments, just so you know what style works best for you. Different agencies recruit and sign models based off of their look, overall vibe, and the type of modeling they do. If you look online on agency websites, it can help you get a feel for what kind of models that specific agency is catered towards and the variety of models that they have to offer. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about money, test shoot pros and cons, and what test shoots even are. So what is a test shoot? It's similar to TFP, and if you don't know what that is, it just stands for time for print or trade for print. The model and or creative team usually exchanges their time and services in exchange for your photos, and it benefits all of your guys' portfolios. It's almost always unpaid unless the agency directly reaches out to you asking for your rates or if they want to work with you on a specific project. And it's a really great option for photographers who want to start shooting fashion and creative work but don't know where to start. As a photographer, if the agency is legitimate, you should never be paying them to do a test shoot. Usually they would just decline your offer or agree to it. However, the only exception I can think of is if the model is super famous or something and has a really high booking fee. But in that case, it's really likely that they don't even need a test shoot because all they get are paid jobs at that point. If you reach out to a freelance model and they end up bringing up their rates, they might only be looking for bookings at that time and not for test shoots. And then as for studios and places that require like rental fees or a permit to shoot there, the downside is that agencies, or at least the ones that I've contacted, will not help you pay for those fees, and you'll have to cover that yourself or split it with the rest of the creative team. So test shoots are honestly great for networking and making connections in your local community of creatives. If a makeup artist you worked with ends up needing a photographer in the future, they might come to you directly, and that's, you know, a win-win situation. Although there are some models that I've just shot with once and like never talked to again, there are definitely some that are super sweet and I'm still like friends with them now. I have only booked one paid gig through test shoots, and it was like a smaller modeling agency, and the model was just starting out. She was super young and she needed photos for her portfolio, so I did get paid for that, but for every single one of the other test shoots that I've done, I didn't earn a single dime. So I'm honestly so grateful for all of the portfolio building opportunities I got through test shoots, but there does come a point where you need to realize that you can't continue doing test shoots forever unless you just want to keep this like as a side hobby or something, because your photos are definitely worth a lot to both agencies and models. So just know when to draw the line and like when to start straying away from free test shoots, moving more into a realm where you can actually get paid for your work and your time. Let's talk emails and DMs. Who do you email? Do you message the model directly on Instagram? So from my experience, usually if you message a model, one of four things will happen. One, they ignore you. Two, they read your message and like leave it on scene but don't respond. They respond back saying, hey, great, I would love to shoot. Or four, they will say, oh, here's my agent's email, and they will make you contact the agent directly. And if any of the first two happen, I know it might be hard, but try not to get offended, because there definitely will be people out there who don't like your work, but there are plenty of people who do value and like your work and will love to shoot with you. And then as for what to include in your email, I would say your name, a very short intro, bio about yourself, what kind of photography you specialize in. If there's a specific model you want to work with, make sure you include that and put their name in the subject line. And your best bet to get a response back from the agency is to include like a location, day or time that you want to shoot with that model, so that they know that you are actually committed and have a whole vision in mind for this shoot. So yeah, tell the agent which models you specifically want to be working with, or ask for a menu of faces to choose from. So a couple of times when I was in LA, I didn't have any specific models that I wanted to work with, so I just asked for a book of faces, and they sent me a couple that needed photos for their portfolio, and I just got to choose whichever one I wanted to work with for that particular shoot. And as always, make sure you're being professional, friendly, polite, reasonably detailed, and respond in a timely fashion. That is the most important part. Towards the end of your email, you should include a link to your website and or relevant portfolio sites such as your Instagram. I wouldn't recommend including attachments of your portfolio work in the email unless you save them as a small like file size, just so they download quickly. And if you do include attachments, make sure it is your best work. And I learned this from Jessica Kobesi. Agencies almost always respond to emails whether they have models currently open to do test shoots or they don't have any available at that moment but would love to collab in the future. However, they might not respond if your portfolio isn't particularly what they're looking for, but it never hurts to give it a shot or send a follow-up email. And sometimes there's an online form on the agency's website that you can fill out to request a test shoot. It asks for basic info like your name, email, what talent you're trying to shoot with, the estimated date, time, location, mood boards, concepts, and I'll get into that shortly. When it comes to DMing or directly messaging models on social media, they oftentimes have their agent's email in their bio already, and you can directly email their agent and never speak to the model until the day of the shoot. It definitely can be scary, because I know I was personally very scared to reach out to anybody when I first started, but most models are friendly and looking to build their portfolio whenever they get the chance to. Alright, now on to putting a team together. There are so many creatives out there and so many people in your local area that you probably don't even realize who are looking to build their portfolios along with you. Because when they collaborate with photographers, they end up getting high quality images. On the other hand, there are also a lot of creatives who do charge money for the work that they do. And either way, you have to remember to be respectful, because everyone has like their own busy schedules going on. So if they don't respond to you, try not to take it personally. They might just be busy at the moment. A large majority of the stylists and hair makeup artists that I've worked with are people that I found through tagged posts on other Instagram accounts. If a creative you want to work with does one free collab with you and then starts charging money or gives you their rates right off the bat, either hire them if you have the budget to do so, or say something like, I love your work, but I do not have the budget at the moment and I'll consider contacting you in the future. Something along those lines, since you never want to unintentionally discredit or devalue someone else's work, and this goes both ways, so know your worth. As for the people who are actively searching and are open to collaborations, just make sure everyone's schedules are coordinated and you can make call sheets to help organize everything. If you're working with a model who is signed with an agency, their agent will almost always ask for a call sheet, which is why it's so important to have one. Oh, and also a mood board is really helpful to have, just so the team has a more cohesive understanding of the visual elements of the shoot and the overall concept that you have in mind. I honestly didn't know what a call sheet was until my very first test shoot, when an agent and I were emailing back and forth and I sent her all the details, and then she emailed me back saying, great, send me a call sheet and when you get the chance. And I had no idea what that was, so I had to Google it. It's basically a short document that gives all the details of the event or photo shoot, such as the time, who's going to be on set, what time everyone should arrive by, if different people need to arrive at different times, hair, makeup, wardrobe details that the model should bring with them, specific locations and addresses just so no one gets lost, and like general contact info of everyone on set. I personally use Google Docs because I find that the easiest, and I input all the info and then export them as PDFs when I email them to agents. As for contracts, the agent will usually send you something you have to sign, and it like confirms the time, date, everyone who's involved, and it just ensures that you're not going to do anything crazy to the model, such as like cut their hair or something. Yeah, you just have to email the signed contract back to the agency and you should be all good to go. Okay, now moving on to the Instagram questions. I am just now realizing that I did answer quite a few of them already throughout the video. I think I also already kind of answered the question that says, where did you even start extensive networking or promoting your work in some way? Just emailing agents, like going straight in, sending them my portfolio, getting more experience over time. How long did you have to wait after signing till your first shoot? I'm assuming you're talking about signing the contract. I usually like to contact the agency 2 to 3 weeks before I plan to shoot, just so we have time to set up things and sort things out and work out everyone's schedules. It really depends on you though as a photographer, however long you want to postpone the shoot and everything like that. One more question I got is, have you seen a lot more diversity in terms of model body shapes, etc.? There are a lot of campaigns that I've seen recently that include a lot of body positivity and diversity among models. It definitely isn't as common though. Like on agency websites, there isn't even a section, or at least some agency websites, there isn't a section of like curvy or plus size models that you can choose from if you're a photographer and want to shoot with one. There might be some agencies that do have those, I'm just not aware of them. So yeah, I think that concludes everything that I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments down below. I will try to answer every single one of them to the best of my ability. Check out my photography Instagram if you want to, at photos.by.meli. I'll leave it in the description box as well. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you found it helpful and subscribe for future videos. I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.